Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we have yet another ALEO ASIC coming out. This is coming from GoldShell. This is going to be their second gen big boy. We're going to talk about the AE Max 2. We're going to look at the specs. We'll compare it with the others. We'll see how it stacks up. We'll see how much of an improvement it is over the previous one, which is something kind of new from GoldShell, right? Typically we don't see improvements that quickly, so that's kind of something big. We'll talk about it though. We'll talk about everything going on with ALEO mining because again, there is a big change. So we're going to talk about that. We'll give our thoughts. If that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So here it is, right? This is a new big boy coming from GoldShell. This is now Gen 2, which, like we mentioned in the intro, is a little bit weird just because, again, the previous AE Max, which wasn't very well received, there's already a new gen, right? And this is typically something we don't really see too much from GoldShell as far as like increases in efficiency. So this is kind of a big thing in those regards, right? But it also kind of proves the fact that they were probably sandbagging also, right? There's no way you're having a whole new gen in just a matter of months, right? It just extremely weird timing. But let's look at the specs though. This guy is going to come in at 540 mega hash at 3200 watts. The form factor is a big industrial type ASIC, so just keep that in mind. This is not a little GoldShell box. So before we go too deep into the comparisons, something you immediately have to know right off the bat, which unfortunately they don't even touch on at all in their little tweet or even clicking on the link and go in the description, you do now have to stake ALEO in order to mine starting August 1st, which is 2 weeks away. So chances are by the time you get this thing, for the few of you people who like to burn your money and actually buy this thing, you're going to have to stake ALEO. Okay, so just make sure you do fully understand that. We're just going to ballpark the numbers. Again, the easy math purposes. 540 mega hash. If we go based off how much you actually do have to have in order to stake to mine, the comparison they have is based off of gigahash. You're going to need about 4,800 ALEO. So just, again, easy math. It's exactly half of that. Not exactly, ballpark about half of that. So you will need about 2,400 to mine initially. And again, that's only going to cover you the first 3 months. Okay, so understand that every 3 months it's going to go up. So after month 3, so after November 1st, it's going to go up 2.5x. So it's from the 100,000 requirement to 250,000. So you're going to go from needing 2,400 to about 7,500. And then from there, it's going to double. Okay, month 6, it's going to go up to 500,000. So you're going to need a pretty extreme amount of ALEO. So make sure you do keep that in regards. Whether you go with this unit, any other ALEO ASIC, make sure you are aware of this change because this is a massive change. Okay. Because unfortunately they're not mentioning it, so I want to make sure we get that news out there so people are aware. Because again, it's going to take effect in a few weeks here. But let's continue on with the comparison. So let's just compare it to the others. Okay, if we compare it to the competition, it is a failure, right? At this point, this is what we're talking about, is that it's essentially a joke still. So I'm going to try not to be biased here. Let's compare it to the other GoldShell unit, and this is where it is a little bit interesting. Okay, if we look at the previous unit, the AE Max, which was announced late April. So again, it's only been a little over 2 months. Okay, so again, it's kind of weird that we have a generation change, but it is a pretty significant increase in efficiency. As we look at that unit, it was 360 mega hash at about 3,300 watts. 9.17 joules a mega hash. This unit now is coming about 40% more efficient. Okay, so that's not bad. Brings it down to 5.93 joules a mega hash. Okay, so a decent increase there. The problem is their real competition, and that's with IceRiver. We don't know which of these units it's going to come out. It seems like it's the AE2. The AE3 just seems like it was announced prematurely. The AE2 so far, which unfortunately just still hasn't been officially confirmed. But again, a lot of resellers are having it. You can see the massive increase in efficiency. It's coming in at 1.81 joules to mega hash. So again, it's going to use about a third of the power, right? You can even just eyeballing the specs. It's a lot more hash rate, 720 mega hash over the 540 at only 1,300 watts versus the 3,200 watts. Okay, so it is a massive difference. So just make sure you are fully aware of that. Again, for us with ASICs, or at least me personally, efficiency is longevity, and that's one of the things I value the most, right? Because again, if the ASIC's profitable only for a few months, that's not going to help you if your ROI time is going to be like 12 to 24 months. Okay, you want to be able to mine on the thing as long as possible. Therefore, for me at least, I want whatever's the most efficient and whatever has a good chance of being the most efficient for a long period of time. Which at this point, when it's already so outclassed, even with this generational upgrade, not good. Okay, just fully understand that. Okay, and this has been a constant theme with GoldShell. I will give them props though for at least having something here, but again, it's also extremely sus that it's only a few months later that we already see such an increase, when realistically, again, this guy shouldn't have came out. Should have just gone straight to this thing. Okay, so again, that's them trying to be first to market. That's part of the issue, but again, in terms of profitability, looking at it, it just doesn't make any sense, right? And that was our argument with the AE Max, which again, it's already at being a freaking 3,300 watt unit, it's only making that much per day, and then it's just going to dwindle down more and more. Okay. As far as ALEO mining as a whole, the only thing you kind of have going for you with this change is that yes, it's a pain in the ass, especially if you get these bigger units. The only benefit is that it's probably going to have a decent effect on the hash rate, that it's probably not going to accelerate as rapidly, just because, again, the fact that we're having to stake to mine is going to be a massive turnoff for the majority of people. But the key thing is that we need to bring awareness to that fact, right? So that's why any other ALEO video I do, I'm going to keep mentioning it until it's there, because unfortunately, at least in GoldShell's case, they're not mentioning it at all whatsoever, even though it's going to be here by the time it goes there. Okay, so the only advantage you could have with buying such an inefficient unit is if the price to mega hash is extremely cheap. So if anybody has access to extremely cheap power, let's say 5 cent under, it could potentially have some viability. Although in this case, again, it's like a 3x difference in power. I mean, it's not something where it's like a 40% difference, like going from the 1 to the 2, right? It's a massive difference. So for me, it's definitely a no-go. Let's look at the prices though, which unfortunately a lot of the resellers don't have them up yet. So Miner Bros does have it listed at $22.49. Okay, so price-wise, it's actually cheaper than what the AMAX was initially. Obviously, price to hash isn't bad, but it's not great either, right? If we compare it, like, yes, this guy is more, but it's just that efficiency difference. This guy's going to potentially last you a lot longer. Okay, that would be one thing to factor in. Me personally, just because of this whole staking requirement, it's going to be a no-go anyway. But for the few of you degens who are into it, I guess, right? Hopefully none of you guys are into this thing. But again, a lot of you guys are. A lot of you guys love burning that money, throwing it in the dumpster, and continuing to support this GoldShell bullshit. Which, let me try to not be biased. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to just give the numbers. But, I mean, look at it. Look at the facts. Okay, this is the reason why a lot of us have the mindset we do, or the opinion of GoldShell that we do, because of this type of garbage, right? So keep those things in mind. But the reason, again, we're saying this is because of that difference, right? Realistically, it should be priced nowhere near there. Again, this is hard to say who this is really for. A person with damn near free electric, but again, in this form factor being a 3200 water, it still kind of doesn't make good sense, right? Realistically, maybe a smaller unit that's the more efficient chips for somebody on solar or something of that sort could make sense, I guess. In my opinion, there's a lot better options though, but to each their own. But in terms of comparing it to the other miners and would this thing be worth it, in my opinion, absolutely not. Right, at that point, you are probably going to be burning your money. I would definitely go with the more efficient units all day long. For me personally, like I mentioned though, I wouldn't get a large ALEO ASIC. Again, the little AE0s or something tiny, sure, why not? The staking requirement is going to kill you, but it's just not a fan of it, right? It definitely just was a buzz killer. To each their own on that whole front. In terms of ALEO's price action, currently the market has been ripping. Alts have been ripping. If you guys caught that video yesterday talking about the market and altcoin season potentially starting, a lot of those things panned out freaking less than 24 hours later, which is pretty insane. ALEO's price action, though, has not been doing a whole lot. Okay, so the only benefit here is that if you are interested in any of those ALEO ASICs, you need to purchase them in order to stake. You want to get in before the run-up. If there's a run-up, we don't know. Maybe this is turning a lot of people off. and maybe people start selling more. It's hard to say how it goes here, right? In theory, it should be bullish, but in my opinion, we probably won't see the difference until the next jump, which is like November 1st, right? Because typically, if you've been mining for a little while, you have a little bag, you have enough to at least cover you the first 3 months, okay? So we'll see what ends up doing there. Again, I do have little A0. I am going to stake the amount required, at least for this first initial run. I don't know if I'll be participating beyond that, just because, again, maybe exiting at that point. We're going to have to see what the market does, but just be fully aware of those staking requirements. It's up to you whether you think that thing is worth it. My opinion, a straight dumpster, but to each their own, guys. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? Are you guys still looking at ALEO ASICs? Were you guys aware of that staking requirement? I'm not really seeing it being talked about, so I'm trying to harp on it as much as possible to bring awareness. Again, let people know if you see other people post videos, content about it. Please mention it in there so other people are aware of this change, that it is a big change, okay? Let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think? Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I am out.